Assalamu alaikum. Hello, welcome back to our channel. We are the Muslim Family Adventures. So today's topic is a very special topic and something that I hold very dear to my heart, and it is the topic of how travel and adventure aligns with self-love and increases one's self-love and one's sense of self-worth and confidence. So let's before we get into it, please press the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it if you could join our family and get notifications every time we upload a new video related to travel and adventure and everything that goes along with it. The many layers of the onion that is self-development, physical fun adventures, and the spiritual aspects that come along with travel and adventure. So please press the subscribe button. Enjoy and join the family. So today's topic, let's get back to the topic. So today's topic is very, very important for me, for my kids, and something that I'm trying to instill in my children from a very young age, and that is the concept of self-love and worthiness and feeling that validation in oneself, and seeking that validation in oneself rather than seeking it from outside sources. And how travel actually increases our self-love, and it really opens our eyes to feeling more joy and bliss when we're in adventure and we're having a great time as a family. So let's get down to it. I'm going to go through a little bit of what self-love is, some do's and don'ts, and then I'll align how travel and adventure helps increase our self-love. So let's get into it. So what is self-love? That is the main question. What is self-love? How do we define self-love? And this is from the website Brain Behavior Research Foundation.org. They state it as self-love is the state of appreciation, having a high regard of your own well-being and happiness. So this is when you focus on your happiness, focus on your well-being, your mental, physical, emotional state that we talked about in the self-care video. And I'll link that video below also. And then how self-love is so important, and because that is the foundation of any type of success that you're seeking, or any type of growth that you're seeking. You need to have self-love as a foundation for that. So I'll kind of go back to our Islamic roots and talk about how when we were born, and this is a concept that's in Islam, that when you're born in a state of fitra. So you're born in a state of a natural state that God has put you into the world. And God, we know, is, or Allah in Arabic, as we know, is 70 times more loving than our mother, right? 70 times. So imagine a mom's love. Like, it's just, she'll do anything. She'll sacrifice herself for her children. So imagine that God loves you 70 times more. And so I don't believe at all that God would create us in a state where we don't love ourselves. And so if he created us in a state of loving ourselves, what happened along the way? I think something happens to us as we get older, and we let the outside environment change our natural state of feeling love from ourselves, feeling love from God, so that we can give love to others, right? At some point, I think it's either outside forces and people's judgment, or even even when things don't go succeed, so a few failures here and there, and instead of getting right back up and dusting yourself and just getting right back up and still getting back onto the journey of self-love, sometimes we fall off the road, and we fall off the path of self-love, and we just put ourselves down, or talk down to ourselves, and that's not something that, I don't think that's what God intended for us at all. And so we may unknowingly choose this route, and we might get lost, and then we find ourselves in a state of, this isn't what I wanted to do, and this isn't the life that I wanted, and the depression and all those negative feelings sink in, and that's the actual opposite of what self-love is. So I'm going to give you a few do's and don'ts of how to practice self-love and what not to do, and hopefully this is helpful to you guys. Pretty straightforward things, but a good reminder for all of us. I think everyone needs a reminder every now and then, because it is a journey. I mean, it's not something that you just wake up one day. Like I said, your natural state is self-love, but things happen and you forget, or you lose sight, and then you need to get back on the road. So a couple do's: be gentle with yourself, be kind with yourself, give yourself some slack. You are human. So you will make mistakes. Try your best, and if you've tried your best, and at that moment, and what you think was best in that scenario, that's it. Just try your best, and then let go of the baggage, let go of all the guilt or shame that comes with it, and just and move forward. And so here's a don't. So the don't is the opposite. To increase your self-love, do not let other people's judgment define who you are. You know who you are. You know your identity. You know who you are. You know what your worth is and what you deserve. And so do not let other people's judgment define who you are. Sometimes people have a negative lens that they're speaking from, whether that's just, again, maybe they haven't practiced self-love or self-care for a while, and so what ends up happening is there's just a negative lens that they use to see the world, and they might think that this feeling, they're not safe, or they're not worthy, and so what ends up happening is they need to try to control other people, and that's not self-love. Self-love is taking control of your own life, taking care of yourself, taking care of your growth, and focusing on that. But when you start going into other people's business and trying to control their outcomes of life, that's not self-love. So there's two ways to growth that we know. Two ways to growth. One is either you stay on your own ladder, you stay in your own lane, and you up-level yourself and not focus on what the outside, what's happening, or who's going where, or who's at what point, and you're just focusing on your growth. So that's one way to grow. Another way to grow is by whack-a-moling everyone else, is by making sure that everybody else stays down and you get to grow. But is that a way that would feel good? Is that a growth that would feel good? No, I don't think so. So be very mindful of how you're growing. Are you growing in your own path and your own ladder, in your own lane? And are you focusing on controlling yourself, your emotions, your outcomes, your successes, and your story? And that's the type of growth that feels good, and that's the type of growth that helps you develop self-love and self-confidence in yourself. Other things that increase your self-love. Another do. Love what you do, or do what you love. So do what you love. Do what makes you happy. Anything that feels good, that's where you should be heading. And I'm gonna add on that as being Muslim, we have some parameters and we have some rules of what is good and what is what is right and what is wrong. And so for me, that is my parameter, and everybody gets to decide what they want to do. But for me and my family and my children, I'm teaching them that your parameter of what you're allowed to do is your religion. So Islam has very, very, a lot of people think that Islam is strict or very difficult, or it has a lot of restrictions, but it's quite the opposite. I think it's culture that brings those restrictions. Islam as a religion gives you a lot of freedom. It's the culture that bottlenecks you and boxes you into staying in these lines, because sometimes culture helps, and sometimes it helps you to stay focused, or it helps you to towards success. But sometimes culture can be shackles, and this is when you get to decide that, this is what my culture says, I don't like it, and this isn't going to work for me. And this is what my culture says, and I like it, and I'm going to pick it up. So you get to pick and choose what makes you happy and what gives you self-satisfaction from your culture. So for me, my religion is my boundary, but that bottlenecking that culture does, I'm not gonna let it constrict me, I guess you can say. I will pick and choose from what I like from the culture and what I don't. What else did I want to add? Yeah, so do what feels good, and make sure that you are not breaking anybody else's free will. You are not trying to control anyone else. You are just controlling you. You're just focusing on your outcome, and you are not trying to take anyone's free will away from them. So those are the two things. Those are my two criteria of what feels good to me, and what feels easy for me, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna do everything that makes me happy. For me, I mean, for us, you've seen from my videos, we love to celebrate things. We love to have parties for everything. Like and it's not just a party. It's like it could be just a cake or a balloon or a surprise, or it could be something very small. But we love to celebrate and feel happy and together over everything. You know, Saturday morning breakfast is pancakes, and yay, you know, that's a big thing for us because we're celebrating every single joyous occasion in life, and you know, so that gives us joy. Don't. So now we did the do of do what you love. Don't. So don't follow the plans of others. Do what you want to do with your life, because if you don't have a plan for your life, if you go into life and you have zero idea of what you want to do with your life, or zero plan of what you want to do with your life, believe it or not, you may become an extra in somebody else's Broadway musical. You don't want to do that. By the time you figure it out that, oh man, I don't have a plan for my life, so now I am part of somebody else's plan, it's going to be hard to get out. So it's best to have a plan for your life, a direction for your life. Be very, I would say, like, write things down, journal and write things down of what is it that you want with your life? What is it that you desire? What direction do you want to head towards? And be very, very focused. And so that it serves me well. And you know, I don't want to be an extra in anyone else's Broadway musical. I am very content leading my life my way. And that for me increases my self-love and my self-worth. And same with my children. I'm teaching them the same thing. You get to decide how you want to lead your life. We only have one beautiful life that's given to us, and we get to decide, you know, how we want to live it. If we decide and choose to be happy. So that's my don't become an extra at somebody else's plan. Do. Let's go to another do. So we did two do's and two don'ts so far. Another do is, do realize that there is a higher being. Do realize that there is someone who has, you know, is someone God is in the sky. He is watching us. He is our eternal protector and eternal source of peace. And so he is up in the heavens, and he is there. He is a higher being, and he is watching over us. So pray, meditate, do dhikr, journal. I mean, all these things, do those things, because they will increase your self-worth. And the reason why it's important to realize that there is a higher being in heaven is because I told you earlier that God, it loves you 70 times more than your mom, right? So if God loves you so much, and if you energetically believe that there's no God, God forbid, like let's say you say there's no God or there's no higher being, what you're doing is there's a channel of love that's you're blocking. And you're essentially saying, like, you yourself will only have a limited amount of love or energy to offer to the world. And when you're blocking yourself from, you know, your higher being, and you're basically, if you're breaking that connection between you and God, what you're doing is, you know, when it's time for guidance, or when it's time for you needing to self-love yourself, well, you know, if you run out of self-love, you know, where are you going to get it from? You need to go and turn to the one who gives, who is Al-Wahhab, who is the most loving. So always have that connection to God. And anytime you feel depressed or sad or down, get to your prayer mat. Start your rosary beads, or in whatever is in your religion, but start your remembering God, because you need that connection. You know, we can't do this alone. And so that's my second thing. My don't, and the opposite is, don't give up on prayer. Don't ever close that block. Don't ever block that road. I apologize. Don't ever block that road. Always keep that channel open. And I'm teaching this to my kids also, is never ever stop praying. Never. Like, no matter how bad of a person you think you are, or how you know, how sad you are, how in a difficult situation you are, never stop praying, because that is how you're going to close the doors to love and mercy. And we need God's love to feel self-love. We need God's love to feel self-love. So these are my few tips on self-love and self-worth, and how to do's and don'ts of how to increase your self-love. So now that we have this concept of self-love, I'm going to align it with travel and adventure, and how adventure and travel increases our self-love. So I'll start with number one. Number one, travel. I told you in videos before, travel feels expansive. It feels amazing. It gives you joy, gives you bliss, it gives you happiness. So that's my number one, I guess, pro of how, or number one pro of how travel aligns with self-love. So number one, it gives you that expansive feeling. Number two, travel encourages you to be in uncomfortable situations. So sometimes you are, camping in a tent, and you're not the most comfortable of places, and things aren't going exactly like, 100% comfort level. But that's when you grow. When you put yourself in uncomfortable situations is when you grow. You're traveling out of country, and everyone's speaking a different language, and you don't really understand, and how do you get the taxi, or how do you pay for, your bottled water? Those are the situations when you're in an uncomfortable situation. That's how you grow. Number three, when you are surrounded by beauty and wonder, you learn to use the emotions of love and hope. When you use those emotions of love and hope, you learn to practice self-love. Number four, travel can give you a sense of self-renewal. So if you are ever in a situation that you are depressed or you're sad and you need to feel alive again, and I'd say take a trip. Take a trip to one of the most natural places, most beautiful, scenic, green places that you can think of. Take a trip. You will be surprised how this nature and scenery and the beauty of what Allah has created, or God has created, will open up your heart and relieve all the depressions or sadness that you're feeling. You will be surprised. All right. Number five, travel allows you to see the blessings that God has given and teaches you to practice gratitude. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. The more grateful you are to God, the more He will give, and the more you'll build your self-love. Number six, travel and adventure increases your sense of confidence. This is something that I'm trying to teach my children. When they travel, I encourage them to go and go to the shopping mall and buy something and pay themselves. So you will teach them to go and talk to other residents of that area, to the cashiers and things like that, and that will help them to learn how to talk in public and gain self-confidence. And that's where growth happens, right? So number seven, travel in any form of travel or adventure, there is always learning involved. And learning is a form of self-love. This is when you're telling yourself that I have a brain, my body, my soul, my brain deserves to grow and to absorb more knowledge. Hence, travel and adventure increases your self-love. You are letting your body know and your soul know you are allowed to feed and absorb on knowledge and learning when you're on adventures, and soak in all the beauty that's around you. All right, number eight. I know I'm going really fast, but this is becoming a long video. So number eight, travel fills our cup. It allows us to stay in a high vibration environment and high vibes. When you come back from your travels, you're also in a high vibe. So yeah, you come back more appreciative, more fulfilled, more thankful that, wow, my body did that 9-mile hike, or, my soul feels rejuvenated now that I've heard the sound of water at the ocean. So things like that, it really fills up your body, your soul, your mental health, and everything just comes into place with travel. So that's what I wanted to share with all of you guys. You get to decide how you want to live. I mean, this is a concept that is so important. You get to decide how you want to live. Understand this. Number one, we are here on earth for a very limited time. Death is imminent. Death is there for everybody. So knowing the long-term picture of we are here for a very limited time, you get to decide how you want to live your life. Do you want to be happy? Do you want to be in a state of joy? Do you want to be around environments that you are happy and excited for life? And that's what travel and adventure does for us. Or do you want to be in environments of stagnancy or negativity or being pulled down your ladder? So you decide. And number 2, your energy and your time is it's valuable. I apologize. Your energy and your time is valuable. So your family and you deserve to get nourishment from your time and your energy. So that's my message to all of you, that self-love is extremely important. It helps to build confidence, high self-esteem, high self-worth. And travel and adventure for us cultivates that, and it just adds to the high self-esteem, high confidence, and high self-love and self-worth. And love yourself. Like, you are beautiful and smart, and you deserve to be happy, and you deserve all the beauty in the world. So that's my message to all of you. I mean, first and foremost, I'm trying to teach this to my children and to my family, that self-love is extremely important. It is the foundation for any sort of success or any sort of happiness or any sort of growth. All of that lies on the foundation of self-love. So once that foundation is there, you're able to build your dreams, your ambitions, your entire life is based on self-love. So I hope that everyone gets some benefit from this. I hope that may everyone increase their self-love and have a blessed week. And I hope these tips help you guys to increase your self-love. But you get to be the master of your own life. So take care, everyone. Have a beautiful week.